Welcome to the Dynasty Academy. Michael Washington. Mark is being a pompous ass before we came on air, and Mark Ongst.
I mean, you are. I'm not. I mean, you are.
Eli Manuel.
Why would you draft a wide receiver too?
Eli, you can cut this out.
You can leave it in too.
Restart.
Kyler Murray has a fantastic arm. It's just the decision making for him. For me, Michael Vick just made better decisions. I feel like overall.
Makes sense. I said 1 or 2 inches, growing 1 or 2 inches, and you're like,
and he's still going.
I have leagued on too many apps. I don't know what to follow.
Oh, happy holidays from us here at Dynasty Academy to you. I'm Michael Washington. Mark Onks is with me, and Eli Manuel. For those on Sleeper who follow this, I'm Chewbacca. That's Onksty, and that is Naturally Different. Just in case you guys were all confused as to who we all are. And I pointed to the screens. I should probably specify that Mark is Onksty and Eli is Naturally Different.
you did point.
I did
but
point.
I don't know. You did point that.
I pointed to the screens, but everybody might be different on the screen. So, yeah. And while I'm thinking of it, congratulations to Michael Vick, since he's in our intro with the name drop for becoming the head coach of Norfolk State. Be interesting to watch them play over the next few years and see what happens with him there and whatnot. But congratulations to him. And Sacramento State, I don't know what happened there. Does anybody know what happened there?
I think they just. I don't think they were ready to sign him, and Norfolk was like, "We'll give you the contract." I think that's what I mean.
We'll give you what you wanted.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like
all right. We got a little bit of delay here.
Go.
I don't know what's going on.
Marks.
Yeah, for sure. We got a little bit of delay here. I don't know what's going on. Some people are lagging. I think we might be good now. Are we good now?
Are we good? I think we're good.
Mark? Yeah, it's Mark. I don't know. It's Mark.
It's me?
It's weird.
Oh,
We'll try to keep this.
I thought it was this guy.
Maybe it's me.
Pointing.
What? Mark over here? This guy? Mark? Hopefully we'll be all right for the rest of the show and not have to worry about it.
On
the screen, you're pointing the wrong way because you're technically over here, but I point the up, so you're on this side. I point.
You're pointing to me right now that way.
But I'm pointing. But in real life, I'm right. But in real life, I'm pointing away from you. Isn't that freaky?
Oh yeah, that's strange. That's odd. What about me? Am I pointing to you right now?
No, you're pointing away from me.
No.
That's
or this way. I gotta go this way?
That's me. Yeah, that's on mine at least.
Anyways, in case you guys are in a crappy ESPN league, we are in the semifinals of the playoffs, as the finals are next week, unless again you're in that ESPN crap and you got a 2-week final for some reason. Don't really understand why they do that. It's kind of shitty, to be honest with you. But
I think you have to. That's league settings, I think.
Yeah, I think it's in league settings, right? Isn't that just like the default?
Yeah, probably, but I don't think it has to. You don't have to do it. It's not,
I just know that most
requirement.
I just know most people do it because I don't bother checking the settings.
I think you're mostly talking about redraft leagues too. For some reason, redraft leagues love a 2-week playoff.
I'm in one right now. 2-week playoff. There's only 2 rounds. It's 1 round in the championship round.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, what you get 4 out of the 8 teams?
It's actually 12 team now.
Oh, you guys are. It's only 14. Only 4 teams make the playoffs, though.
Yeah, it used to only be 10 teams. Now it's 12, and only 4 make the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe we need to up to how many teams make the playoffs now. If we have 12 teams, maybe more than a third of the league probably should go to the playoffs.
Yeah, you would think so. Let's have a playoff check-in. Mark, how are your playoffs looking? I know week 1 or round 1 was not so kind to you, I guess.
It actually turned out a little. It ended up being better than it was looking. Shout out to Daryl and fumbling the lead in Empire because I I was down by a lot. Um, I I think there was only a couple I ended up actually losing, but not looking the greatest so far in the projections for this week. So we'll see how. Hopefully, we get a little bit of a better fantasy week overall because last week's fantasy for some of these players was just horrendous. 0 from Cooper Cup needs to definitely not happen again.
It was 0 from Cup, 0 from Waddle. Devon Vele, I think, was like projected 10 plus in most leagues, and he got 0. And I mean, it was pretty brutal as far as some of those were concerned. David Montgomery got hurt early in his game again in the Detroit game. He still scored you like five or six, depending on your league settings. So
Yeah, but now you lost. If you moved on, you lost him now for
right,
your fantasy playoffs.
Playoff check in. How are your playoffs looking so far?
Not too shabby. Mark and I go against each other in one league, so we're excited
Isn't
about
it more
that.
than
ATL, just ATL, I think.
It's the only one you and I have. I know Michael and I have one again this week.
We could end up in a championship against each other in another.
Yeah, I beat you in shadows last week.
You did. You were all worried because of the trades I made, and then you ended up beating me.
No, mine are sitting pretty good. I took a lead into the redraft, that 2-week matchup one. So small lead, mind you. But no. My only 2 playoff teams that lost were the ones that I kind of expected to. So been good.
Yeah, I lost one because I had Waddle and Cup. I lost one because I had Waddle and Cup on my team, and I still had a chance to win. I was still projected to
Both of
win
them.
going into the Monday night game, but I had Brock Bowers, and Desmond Ritter sucks. So yeah, that pretty much basically ruined my chances at winning it all. So like pretty much just ruined it right there, was because projection wise I was going to win, but Bowers didn't even come close in the settings to win that. But yeah, it was pretty brutal. I had Cup and Waddle and David Montgomery on that team, and still almost won. My team still almost won 200 points.
Wow.
One of my teams that lost was Cup and Waddle as well. That was one of the Devasty leagues.
Oh yeah,
and that team has Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen.
Wow.
Oh
yeah.
Mark and I weren't even close to Devasty playoffs. I don't think, for some reason, that team just looked stacked on paper. And yeah, but I think we missed by like 2, didn't we? 2 spots.
No, we ended up as this. We were. I mean, in the standings, we were 7th. We were only behind by.
Oh, were we 7th? Oh, okay.
If we had the same record as the guy who ended up at 6, we would have been in because we had more points. We had like an atrocious part of the season where we lost like a bunch of games in that league.
Yeah,
I think the beginning of the year did not start out well, and then we went on a run.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal there for a minute there as well. Any of the viewers out there, happy holidays to you. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions as far as your playoff start sit-ems, stuff like that, any trades, if you're in Dynasty leagues or Devy leagues that are pending that you want to know about or whatever, feel free to chime in, and we'll help you as best as we can moving forward with that as well. So
I did take a chance on Courtland Sutton tonight, and I put him in just in ATL against Eli. Actually, I put him in as one of my wide receivers because I don't know if I want to trust Cup or Terry McLaurin against Billy.
This Chargers-Denver game is got very much a low-scoring feeling to me. I feel like this game might end up being like
it's already 7-7.
10. Yeah, that's where I figure it's going to stop.
I don't know. These 2 offenses are just rolling down the field.
Yeah.
No, well, that's good. At least maybe
we'll
get a decent offensive game.
I started Bo Nix last week in place of Rodgers.
Now watch, Bo Nix is going to go off this week, and Rodgers is going to beat Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is playing the Rams. That's a tough matchup because that Rams D line is freaking stellar. So
Rodgers is really good stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, did you say yeah? Sure. Cheers to that, I guess.
Sure. Rodgers is really
Yeah,
good
if you're talking about sure.
2016.
Yeah, but you got to remember you're talking to two Packers fans, so he probably still has out hope for the old man.
I'm just ready for Rodgers to move on to Minnesota now.
Me too. That's funny.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Well,
As
I
much as
feel
I
like
would
it.
like to see that happen, it's not happening. No. Eli, you're here with us tonight. Last week we held off on a topic of conversation because you brought it up in the chat, and we figured we'd let you go ahead and go on your Eli
Rant away.
and have your little rant away. Then go ahead.
Which part of it? That redraft league should have earlier trade deadlines, and Dynasty should have no trade deadlines. We'll start there. Okay. The discussion we were going to have is we share trade offers amongst ourselves to get feedback. And one thing that we were talking about last week was, past couple of weeks, was trade etiquette, especially in Dynasty where you've got a contending team, or maybe you're in a rebuild, and getting offers that do not fit that at all is, I'm wasting my time even looking at that. So one of the examples is I have we'll just say very stacked Dynasty team. I've got probably 3 starters on IR, and I'm still in the playoffs, still the highest scoring team. And I got a trade offer that, mind you, it's a solid team, so maybe I do want to move some picks, but it was to move a 2025 first rounder, which is going to be late, and a second rounder for just a hodgepodge of players that are not going to help me this year or most likely next year. We're talking Jameis Winston, Gus Edwards. There were 4 players total. I can pull it up, but that's the example, right? Why am I going to get rid of even a late first for just a hodgepodge of players, and I'm going to have to drop 2 players to fit these guys in my roster? So trade etiquette and thinking before you send it. Like, if somebody sent this to me, would I want to throw at the wall? That's the topic right there. If you would want to throw it at the wall, if you got that trade offer, don't send it. Don't hit send.
I think the biggest thing for me is
I think
for people to
Go ahead.
look at the team you're trying to trade with. Look at where they're at in the standings. Are they close to the playoffs? Are they trying to contend? What are they? What are they doing? Are they? Do you notice that they're in a rebuild? If you just start there, and then think about, okay, if I was rebuilding, would I want these players? Would I want this? If they're contenders, like you said, should I take their starter? Like, start there. Look at the team actually look at the team you're trying to trade with. Actually look at it. I know you look there to see the players you want, but actually look at what the team is doing. Yes, do the opposite of what Madden does.
Hey, thank you for tuning in, Daryl. We appreciate it. You're infamous on this show, by the way. By all means. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to bring up, when you do trade offers, especially this time of year when it comes to the playoffs, and just because you're a team that's out of it and you have a couple like fringe players that are playing because of injuries, you don't send them for elite players. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've woken up to an Isaac Garendo for, Dak Prescott, or, you know what I mean? Like, especially in super flex leagues, like, just stop. Like, that doesn't help me. Sure, it helps me for the playoff run, but it does not help me moving forward to the future. I'd rather keep Dak. You have to keep that in mind when you send these trade offers, because if you're not doing that, you're going to burn bridges with a trade partner. like hands down.
I'm
And
just-
yeah, and Eli, we have a couple of people that that are like that, and
I cringe sometimes when I see a message pop up on my phone saying I got a trade offer, and it's like I don't even want to go look. I don't want to go look at it. I just don't. And then I don't want to do the back and forth either from it.
Oh,
Like I
it
don't
drives me
want to
nuts.
spend 2 days going back and forth about players I don't want.
yes,
And don't
like,
tell me why I want players or why I should get rid of players. Like, don't tell me that. I already understand what I want. Don't tell me what's better for me. Don't tell me what's better for my team.
it should go like you and I did the other day in Alpha. I have a completely garbage team. Okay, it's full rebuild. I got James Conner sitting there. You're in the playoffs. You want James Conner? And I just said, "What?" I think I just said, "Do you want to get rid of McMillan?"
That's what you said. Yes. Do you want to get rid of McMillan? Is exactly what he said.
And then the offer was in my inbox, and we carried on with our lives. So.
I replied, no, but yes.
No,
I
but
don't. But yes, I don't want to get rid of him. But yeah, I understand. That's what you want for him.
And the other trade tactic that drives me nuts is somebody who's trying to trade for somebody and they talk them down. Like they literally talk the player down that they're trying to trade for. Like that's going to actually move the needle and make them devalued. You know what I mean? Like there was one trade offer that I was in a conversation with somebody that was talking about JJ McCarthy, and the person that was trying to buy JJ McCarthy was talking about he may not even have a starting job next year. But here, I want to trade for him. Can I have him, please? And I'm thinking to myself, like, what do you like? What is that going to do? Nobody's going to move the needle because you're going to spit out there that McCarthy may not have the starting job next year. Like that's just dumb. McCarthy's value is pretty much entrenched, even despite the injury. Like even if Darnold comes back and plays next year, McCarthy is going to be the future of that franchise. So it doesn't make any sense to talk down the piece that you are trying to trade for. Makes zero sense.
I mean, think about all these people that traded Michael Penix away because he wasn't going to be the starter for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We all expected 2 years, and now look at it. They've already, I think wrongly, but they have already decided they're going to start him this year.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a temporary thing and it's only for a couple of weeks, it's still not the right move in my opinion. But at least he's going to get some.
Not for a team trying to get the playoffs.
Not right. I mean, and yes, Kirk Cousins has been absolutely terrible for you. So if you have Cousins on your team and you're in the playoffs, maybe you should try moving him to another contender and get a piece back because your season may be over if you have to rely on him.
If you're relying on him, you're not getting anything back. So you should have been on the waiver wire picking up Mason Rudolph, Spencer Rattler, or Dorian Thompson-Robinson earlier in the week if that was your case. Otherwise, you are just SOL.
Also, out of everybody that you just mentioned, real quick, Eli, I know that you got something you probably want to say there because DTR is your man, but is it just me or does it feel like it's a backwards move for Tennessee and what they're doing? Like, I don't know who their third quarterback is, but I still feel like that you don't start the veteran in that case. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
I think it's trying to send a message to Will Levis that you're not just the guy.
Yeah, sure, I understand that, but like, clearly, if you're making this move this late in the season, you're gonna have a top 10 pick, I believe, if I'm correct, based upon their record. The quarterback class isn't the strongest, but a quarterback could still easily fall to you wherever you are. Like, not saying Tennessee necessarily should take a quarterback, but like, this doesn't seem like it's a progress move for this team, especially considering how against the cap they are. They're not going to be able to sign a free agent, and they're not going to certainly go out and get Kirk Cousins unless it's unless it's a Russell Wilson deal, right? Where he gets cut by like Denver cut him, and they get him on the league minimum because Atlanta still has to pay him the $90 million guaranteed. So,
you're not trading him. You're not trading Kirk Cousins because of his deal. He's gonna Derek Carr his way out of Atlanta at this point. So it's going to be Russell Wilson. I think what I look at it as they don't probably think they're getting a quarterback in the draft, or they're not going to get a guy ready to go. And I think they're trying to see how does Will Levis respond to this, because he didn't get benched before. I think he was injured, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Levis was injured before when Mason Rudolph was there, but now you're benching him, and it feels like a weird move to do from a team that's 2 weeks removed from beating Houston, where Levis looked really good.
Yeah, but I mean, have you looked at his stats lately?
Oh yeah, no, I know. The last 2 weeks have been terrible. I get it. I understand it. I mean, he scored
terrible.
He scored negative 4 points almost last week, and as far as fantasy points were concerned, I understand that. However, you are only 2 weeks removed from beating the Houston Texans, and like Levis missed a chunk of the season because of injury. I'm not saying Levis is the future by any means, but it just whoever their third quarterback is, don't you think you'd probably want to throw that out there like Cleveland's doing with DTR just to see what you have? Like, I don't know.
Or
I just feel like go to the young
They
guy.
don't have a third
Like,
quarterback.
you're not gonna win. Oh, they have one. Everybody has an emergency one that they keep, most likely.
Well, he must be on the practice squad because he's not listed on their roster.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's probably a practice squad guy, but I don't know. Anyways, I just spitballing there. It just feels backwards to me, like as far as that's concerned. Eli, Daryl says that I sent you trade offers as well, and you're leaving me on red like an X. So
maybe he burnt those bridges.
oh, the bridges were burnt. Oh no. Uh-oh. There we go.
You want to know something else I don't like when people
I
do
got
it?
a lot from Madden recently, so
Yeah, I got a lot from Madden as well.
wipe those notifications.
I also don't like the send a player with nothing on the other side to say I'm interested in the player.
Oh,
Just send me
yeah.
an offer. Just send me an offer. You
what do
sent
you
me an
want?
offer tells me what. Yeah, tells me you're interested. Just send me an offer. Don't ask me what I want. Just send me an offer.
Keep
That's
trade
the one thing.
touch.
I think I was actually talking to Daryl about this the other day. Like, one of my least favorite questions that's going to probably not get a response to is, what's it going to cost? Or what do you want for so-and-so? Or what's so-and-so's price tag? Like, the price tag is $1 million in a new Ferrari. But if you can't give me that for a player, then what are we even talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I could put anything up there for that sentence. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to mention that Aussie Mike is on the clock in Alpha, guys, and he is in Australia. So I don't know what we're going to want to do about this. Usually he doesn't go on the clock this late. So.
What do you
But
mean?
we'll figure.
What's the issue?
Well, his clock is going to expire just before midnight.
Oh, well, then that's okay. He shouldn't. That's on him. That's fine. He could have easily had a pick given to somebody, given to you, and said, "Hey, yes, hey, this is who I'm looking to take." If I'm, we're playing with adults. They have to understand how.
Are we?
I mean, they are adults. They may not act like it, but they are adults.
Speaking of adults, Daryl, you have been skipped in Empire. I don't know who's next on the clock, but his clock has expired. So that would put G Hub on the clock.
Nothing. Go make your bet.
Anyways, yes. So Daryl, you've been skipped. G Hub is on the clock. Okay, in Empire. Moving on. We did a little playoff check-in, a little trade talk as far as the playoffs are concerned. One thing I do want to ask you guys right now is, if you are a playoff team and you are looking to contend right now as far as it's concerned, who are some of the guys that you are looking at, and how do you approach it? For instance, like, obviously if somebody offers you Keenan Allen, the guy's 34 years old, or 33 years old, or 32 years, whatever, he's in his 30s. Is he a guy that you're going to want, even though he may produce a decent enough game for you moving forward, even if the price is cheap? Or is that somebody that you're just like, I don't know, because I don't know what his future is going to hold beyond this year, so I don't really want to give up any asset for him. Like, what's the line for you guys when you're making the trades? Because for me, it's literally just based upon, am I going to get more than 1 year, or more? Am I going to get more than 5 games out of this guy? And that's the way I look at it. I don't know about what you guys look at.
I look at it the way I said it to Mark when he asked the question the other night, and that was even trading for somebody like Cup or Adams, aging wide receiver. We might not want to trust Cup right at this moment, but either way, looking at those two players, they both have risk. If I need that emergency cover my ass in the playoffs player, I will make that deal. Otherwise, obviously you're going to prefer, if I'm giving up picks, especially early Devy picks or that, I'm going to try to find a middle of the ground guy that's sitting on a rebuilding team that's looking to acquire multiple assets. And that's the move I'm going to make. I don't like trading for the Keenan Allens of the world.
Yeah, and neither one of the trades where I got Keenan Allen did I go looking for Keenan Allen. Really want Keenan Allen. He literally was both people were like, well, what if we had Keenan Allen? And like I was already like one of them I didn't even come up with it. It was literally proposed to me. The one where I sold the Devy 102. He literally this was good trade etiquette. He went, do you want Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, and George Kittle for the pick? I was like, oh, maybe I do want that for that pick. He did not start off with, hey, do you want George Kittle for the 102? Or he didn't start off with, do you want Keenan Allen for the 102? He gave me but no, Keenan's literally been a throw-in. He is not a guy I've been looking to target. People have just been like, hey, what if I add this to him? What does that get me? Like, get you a bag of chips. Here you go. And they've been like, great, a bag of chips. I'll take it.
I was just curious about. I just used Keenan Allen as a reference because you did trade for him in the spot, and I know that he wasn't the integral part of that trade offer. I just
literally both throw-ins both times.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was necessarily a situation where you saw him and you were like, I might get another year out of him, so let me go get him. Or I don't mind taking him on. Like, I don't know if that was the case or.
Nope. Literally, the person was just like, what if I had Keenan Allen? And I was like, okay, then this works. Like that's all it really was. The people I do like James Conner, and not that I went out and got him really anywhere other than the one with Eli, but I think you can get him for cheap, and with the re-signing of him, I think that means you at least are going to get one more year with him as the main guy there. I think that they're still working Trey Benson in, and I think Trey will continue to work in next year more than. Yeah. But I still think it will be the James Conner backfield with Trey relieving him. Maybe he Rashad White's Conner next year at some point, but you at least should get at least 6 weeks of the year, I think, where you're going to get points from him. And he puts up a good amount because he's efficient in that backfield. Doesn't need, I think, a ton of carries.
Yeah, no,
that's a Devy league where I was like, because I didn't know if Eli was going to want a Devy, and like if he wanted a Devy, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But a first round in a Devy league, I was like, yeah, I'll do that, like because it's a first round pick in a Devy league. Yeah, they're not as high valued.
That's why I asked for the player.
I was just curious. Yeah. No, I mean obviously, honestly, for both your teams and the way that your teams are in that league, it made sense because, like you said, Eli, your team is atrocious, and you're definitely in a rebuild process. I mean, folks, for the viewers out there listening, Eli's team is so bad in this league, it has made any one of the teams that I fear are going to go winless every year that I have look like superstars.
I honestly can't believe it has a win. The fact that you won 1 week is.
Didn't I beat Michael?
Is that who you beat? Was that your win? Was
that your win? That's Michael. That's so sad.
Well, my team in that league though had like it was IR special for a long period of time.
I would say because you were a good team coming into the year for sure.
To be
Well,
fair,
I finished 7-7 once I got healthy, but it was definitely a upward trek to get there.
that team was an orphan that nobody wanted, and I think I got the first 2 years the buy-in free and the 101 in the Devy draft the first year.
Probably it was something like that. I'm sure.
Or the
Like
rookie
it was
draft, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Alpha's been around the longest.
Yeah, Alpha's been around since 2019. It's the longest one that we have.
I don't know if that was the original one you got me in, or if there was one before that. But that was one
That was
of.
That was the original I got you into.
Then I took over. No, because the first one I got in with, I took over an orphan. I don't think that was Alpha. Or did I
Oh,
take,
that was Charlie. That was Charlie. That was
yeah,
Charlie.
I think Alpha was the next one you got me into when I think you started it.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, people, when you're looking for contending pieces, you can't go looking for the CD Lambs. You're not. You're 112.
Collins.
Your 112 probably is most likely not getting that done. So, like Justin Jefferson, CD, like these guys are you're that's not the pieces you need to try to target in your contending teams, unless you're maybe in a Devy league where you have some Devy assets and Devy picks that you could throw to a team in a rebuild. But like in a regular dynasty league, unless you have an early first round pick, don't go for those guys. Go look for a Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton would probably be a really good piece to try to add
Sutton,
a couple weeks ago.
McLaurin, I would even add Cup, even though he put up a goose egg last week. I think that I would still put up Cup. Any of those guys I think are good target spots for this year. And moving forward to next year. Cup might have a little bit shorter of a window than the other two guys, but I think that they are good windows to look at overall. I just, for me, when I'm a contending team and I'm looking at it, like AJ Brown, we made that trade in OG Devy where I took all your Devy picks for yeah, well, sorry, you took all my Devy picks for AJ Brown. Like AJ Brown's a little bit on the older end. The Eagles had a little bit of disruption there for midweek stuff, and I just felt like it was a good price to go get him because he adds to a team that could go on and contend. So, and I get him for at least a year afterwards because I don't think he's going anywhere next year. So, those are the kind of guys that I've been kind of looking at, and that's how I justified the trade offer there with that matter. Once again, thank you for all the viewers listening or they're here with us. Happy holidays to you here from the Dynasty Academy. Shady Sports Network. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little ding-a-ling thing-majiggy so you get the notifications when it comes off as well. Whatever the bell. It's a bell. I call it ding-a-ling thing. Yeah, whatever.
Ding-a-ling thing.
Ding-a-ling thing.
Well, Michael, what was your prediction for the score for this game?
I think I said something like 32-28.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Right. we're getting close to it. Eli, you didn't start Bo Nix, right? I think he has 3 passing touchdowns already. I think all 3 are passing. Maybe there might be 1 rushing, so two passing touchdowns for him. I think.
Yes.
I think already.
Good
How's his score looking?
Hey Eli,
in your league? What's he got so far?
Why don't you tell everybody who you sat Bo Nix for too?
14.84.
We're only partway through the second quarter.
Yeah, I didn't I say it at the beginning? No.
No, I don't think we were on
last week. I started Bo Nix and benched Aaron Rodgers, and this week I started Aaron Rodgers.
2 straight weeks of him missing out on quarterbacks, most likely.
But Atlanta defense is just going to win me my championship.
The ATL defense?
No, yeah. Drew Lock's gonna throw all over them, or wait, maybe run all over them because he can't throw the ball. Run all over them.
I don't know. They got me 21 points last week. So.
You're welcome, by the way. You were about to start. Who were you starting?
In Buffalo, unless I pick somebody up.
Yeah, how that Buffalo one was going to go for you?
Yeah, how that.
I was scared of that over. I did not bet it.
Well, I'm sure they smashed the over because there's no way the over was anywhere in the 80s.
Only 90 points later, and here you are.
Yeah. Good thing he didn't start Buffalo's defense.
Oh Jesus! Hey, Devon Bailey made a touchdown.
Yeah.
Cool.
He caught it. Yeah. So far,
He's
not
not-
the people needed to score touchdowns are scoring touchdowns. Javonte Williams and Cortland Sutton are not the people scoring touchdowns for.
Oh, I'm just glad that Bailey showed up a week late. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's how the fans playoffs go. She's a fickle one.
I don't even think I put
Fickle
Bailey
fans.
back in. I think I took him out and pulled an Eli and took him out like he took out Bo Nix, and don't have him in my lineup at all. Yeah, so Devy drafts are happening right now, as always in our leagues. Wonderful Devy drafts. We are what, 4 in, or we just started our 5th, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So there's only one more left to go. That will happen probably next week, at some point in time
That's
after Christmas.
That's the offensive defensive one.
Yeah, the offensive defensive one that surprisingly moves pretty quickly.
Usually.
Way to jinx us.
Knock
Yeah.
on wood. Knock on wood. As well. So coming out of Christmas.
Depends on
So-
who's in the league.
Let's talk about something I noticed. Now I understand the guy got skipped, and that's probably why he has ETN as the second overall pick. But has he been picked anywhere else, or was he already picked last year?
ETN he was picked sporadically, I think.
Because I looked at 2 other ones, I didn't see his name, but I wasn't sure if he was picked previous years, and that's why he went.
Yeah.
Undrafted this year, but it's just like weird how
I
he's
find it strange that he was available, to be honest with you, because he was pretty highly recruited, and I'm kind of shocked that he didn't get picked in any of our Devy drafts prior to.
well at Florida he didn't have the greatest seasons. It was flashy, but not like overly great. And I don't think transferring to Georgia, it's like one of those things. Are you gonna be really good, or are you gonna be another name in a crowded backfield at Georgia?
Right.
So I could see why. I'm shocked he went completely undrafted in that league, where the guy who didn't realize we were drafting picked him up as his one of his 3 picks after the draft was over.
Well, I mean, I think primarily for ETN, it's like you said. What do you put a grade on him? He kind of reminds me a little bit of James Cook. Like, we knew James Cook was going to probably be a second round pick, but once James Cook was selected, or once he was coming into the draft, the fantasy community didn't really know what to do with him, right? Like, and it's not just because they went to Georgia. It's just basically reminds me so much of the James Cook situation, because what do you do with this guy? Where do you put him? What do you rank him? And what's his value? So I think that we're seeing a lot of, I want to say, fringe guys are getting taken, because I think people are scared to take shots, because Devy picks are so hit or miss in general. Like, a lot of times, a lot of us took Matt Corral early, thinking that he was looking like he was going to be a guy who was going to be a high first round pick. And I think that because of that, a lot of the people that have been in these leagues now, and I don't know how other Devy people have done it in the fantasy community, but I think they're a little bit shy to pull the trigger on guys that may be those fringe type players, and maybe ETN falls into that category. What do you think, Eli? Is that where you have ETN?
I feel like he was drafted in all the other ones, or maybe I'm thinking about our C2C leagues.
He was definitely drafted. He was definitely drafted in our
sometimes,
C2C leagues for sure.
I feel like I saw his name in some of the Devy ones.
I think he was drafted in a couple of the Devy ones, but I don't think it was a ton.
Yeah, I think there's this lean towards lean away from the flashy guys with the name, as we see. It doesn't always pan out, and we draft some of those guys too early. Like, I look at some of my Devy rosters, and I was taking guys very early in the cycle, and they flame out after a couple of years. And now I've got these dead assets on my roster. And looking at these Devy drafts, a lot more people are drafting guys that are going into the draft next year and the next couple years. And people want to find the Joe Burrow. the guy that explodes at the end of his career, right? Gets drafted highly versus the guy that comes in, he's going to be a freshman. We don't know what we're going to get. And then you get burned.
I mean, I've said it a few times now to people. I don't think this Devy season does not feel like there are a ton of players that I'm going out of my way to get. That's why I've been selling more in this Devy season than previous, because I mean, sure, the 102 I was getting Genty or Smith, which sounds great, but on a team that maybe I win the title this year, Jeremiah Smith does nothing for me for at least 3 more seasons, at least. And Genty possibly, but does he also does he not translate to the NFL? So it sounded great, but overall, pushing for the championship just made more sense, because they're after like 7 or 8 guys, it just feels really gross. The rest of the Devy draft,
it's just not super exciting in general. There's a couple of guys at the top, like you said, and then it's
even guys like I like Cam Coleman, Micah Hudson. Like I'm if I'm in the draft, I'm trying to get them, but they're not like I gotta go get those guys.
Right.
Micah Hudson transfer, so now we're like, okay, well now you're on team number 2. What does that look like? Coleman, you're still at Auburn. I know Auburn got some transfer quarterbacks, so okay, maybe Auburn's better, but what does that look like?
Well, I mean, as far as Micah Hudson's concerned, Texas A&M really paid to get him there. Like, the NIL deal with him is absolutely insane, and it was Daryl was telling me about it earlier today. Like, if you can look up the details to see what he got, like they better hope he doesn't bomb. And for me and my Devy selections, hopefully he doesn't bomb, because I'd be screwed. I'm going to be really overweight with him in that league. But I agree with you. Actually, I agree with both of you in this situation as far as like the Devy drafts in the second and third rounds. I feel like a lot of the guys are upside guys. Like, I'm taking them, but their floor is also really low because you don't know what they're going to be. I feel like that's like the riddled in this draft in comparison to some of the other drafts, and that may be because we're on year 3, 4, 5 in this draft. You know what I mean? That we're looking at guys now that like, I love Eric Singleton. In the transfer portal, he's the number 2 overall rated player. But he's 5'10", pushing 5'11", 185 pounds and 190 pounds, whatever. What is Singleton going to be at the next level if he does show out wherever he commits to? Right? Like,
I don't
Concepcion.
feel like I
Concepcion's
don't feel
another
like
one,
this year, college football wise, there were very many players who we didn't either already know about
right?
that came forward, and we were like, oh, let's add that guy to the list. I mean, for the most part, it might be Jalen Royals, and he might be the only one. Everybody else might have already kind of been on radars.
Mm-hmm.
Did they help? But I don't feel like there really was a group of people who were like, oh, wow, we missed on these guys. Let's go get some of these guys now.
I was looking at a couple of the previous drafts, so like in different ones of the leagues. And this is like a perfect example of what we're talking about here is the 101 in Devy last year was Jaden Daniels.
Yep. And he came on real late.
Yeah,
he was at Arizona State.
And now look at
now he might be the best rookie quarterback in the class.
Yeah, there's that idea of you want to, everybody wanted to draft and have Bijan Robinson on their roster from the beginning, right?
Those were easy ones.
Very high risk, but you're going for it and it can pan out. But I would say we've had leagues where Justin Jefferson fell through the Devy cracks and ended up as the 101 in the rookie draft.
Mm-hmm.
there are always going to be guys that slip through the cracks, and I feel like a lot of times that might be your best pick at the top of a Devy draft every year.
One
Not the new shiny object, is who's the guy that fell through the cracks.
For me, that's why I used usually a lot of round 3 as a I'm going to take a shot on a guy that I like. Like last draft, it was Wayshawn Parker. He good size, had a really good year at Washington State. He's a true freshman. He's in the transfer portal right now. Has a chance to hit a Power 4 team most likely, and hopefully he hits. So that way I'm 2 years ahead of the curve on him, and I don't have to worry about it. And trying to hopefully land a top 5 pick if he does end up showing out, right? Like that's how I use the third round. I don't know how the rest of you use the third round, but that's how I use the third round. Is on guys that I like that I think might garner NFL attention, down the road.
That's where I got Genty in some leagues last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, Michael and I actually talked about this the one day because we were before the Devy draft started, we were looking at where Genty was available and noticed you grabbed him, I think, in 2 leagues late last year, and I mean those picks look, phenomenal now. But to your point, Michael, I think it really depends on your current NFL team along with what you've done before in the Devy drafts. If you had a good kind of track record, you could take those shots in the third round because you have some backfill.
Yes.
If you haven't, if you've missed, I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend taking that risk. I would look for more the safer route in that sense. One thing I've noticed is the freshman running back is not. I mean, maybe this class just didn't wow as many people, but 2 two freshman running backs been drafted? Well, for the most part, Frazier and
well, outside of Wayshawn Parker in the last one, it's been Frazier and.
Has Frazier actually been the only one?
It might be just Frazier.
So, think about that. Think about previous Devy drafts and running backs, especially incoming. Obviously they would have in a season, but freshman running backs in their first season going usually very highly. And I mean, to everyone's point, I don't want them either because I don't trust the freshman running back anymore. Because they all go to Alabama and Georgia and then transfer out, and you never know what you're getting from there.
I think Quentin Martin got drafted in 1.
He did late, yes. He did. He was a late one, but that's not been a consistent one.
That Frazier's the only one that's consistent. Nobody else is consistent here.
Yeah, which to me is crazy compared to previous seasons.
But I also feel like that now when you're looking, because Omarion Hampton was drafted in every single one of these leagues early, when he was a freshman. Omarion Hampton was pretty much gone. I think
it was more last year.
It was either his freshman year or last year. Yeah,
I think it was more his sophomore year because I don't think he played. He came on late in his freshman year, so I don't think a lot of people grabbed him in those Devy drafts. And then his sophomore year is when he took that backfield.
But what I'm seeing is with the landscape of the running back at the NFL level, and B, like you said, guys like Kamar Wheaton for years, he was drafted and then not heard from and then injured. Right, we still don't know what Kamar Wheaton is. We pretty much think the NFL ship has sailed on him, unless he turns an Ashton Genty type season at SMU next year. But I think what you're seeing is the later running backs, the guys that are finally coming on after a few years, where you're looking at your Devy picks and going, okay, this guy did this, like Ashton Genty. Let me go get him now. If I happen to land him, I happen to land him. But otherwise, the running back situation is like Tyrone Tracy for the Giants this year. Nobody drafted him in Devy picks.
Nobody drafted him in rookie drafts, really.
Right. Rashad White. I don't think he was drafted in any Devy drafts at all.
There was definitely one.
It might have been one. Well, he was in the C2C league.
No. I drafted him in a Devy draft.
Oh, you drafted him in a
third round, taking a shot on him. It was third round. Probably Shadows, where I already had an amazing Devy team as it was.
So I think it's just the landscape of the running backs in general over the last few years. You're just not getting that unless you have a surefire guy like a Saquon Barkley or Bijan. Well, I don't even know if necessarily Bijan's considered a surefire, but Bijan Robinson was a surefire pick There was no way nobody was not going to take him. You know what I
think
mean?
he's fine now. I think we've seen that he is a top
Right.
running back.
But I also want to point out that this year's class, the 2024 class, and the 2025 class, there is a combined 1 5-star running back, and that's Taylor Tatum from Oklahoma. Other than that, all of the other ones are all 4 stars. There's not a single 5-star recruit. And
Taylor Tatum's not getting drafted though.
But what I'm saying is though is with the 5-star recruits is you may even be.
Okay, that's him that froze. I was like, wait, is it me? That's definitely Michael. That is just.
Yep, that's him.
At least it's not too bad of a face for him though. He didn't have too much of a funny face. Maybe he's back.
There he's back.
Kind of. He's moving a little slow now.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what happened. You guys all just disappeared all of a sudden.
You froze completely. You at least admit it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much. You froze completely. It wasn't too much of a funny face though, at least for you. Yeah, you were saying something about Taylor Tatum.
I mean, it could have been. It would have been all right. I was just saying that I think that the college side is even changing the landscape of the running back position as well. Like Tatum was a 5-star, but all the other ones are 4 stars. You're not seeing the multiple 5-star guys anymore. Like you're just not at the running back level, and that might be the part of all the changes that are happening with the way that the running back landscape is changing. So I think for running back, taking less of a shot's a good idea. I think that you want to take the shot on the receiver in the 3rd round and maybe that quarterback that may have broken out at a young age. But for running back, you could break out at a young age and it's not going to matter in 2 years.
I mean, if you notice, quarterbacks haven't been like going crazy. Well, they haven't been going crazy in our Devy drafts either. It's been just a ton of wide receivers.
Yep.
And tight ends, stupidly.
Colston Loveland.
I was just gonna say Loveland is getting some love.
And
him and Tyler Warren are the 2 guys that everybody's just going bananas for.
It's because we had Laporta last year, Brock Bowers this year. Everybody else is going to expect that it's going to happen every year with the tight end position. So
yeah, Kyle Pitts.
These guys, and Donovan Duck, obviously.
Donovan Duck.
I'm just waiting if year 5 that they're going to do the Kyle Pitts thing again. Like, no, it's going to be this year. Then every year.
Yeah. I can't wait for the tight ends to come crashing back down to earth because fuck that position. So,
but that's the thing, though. You mentioned Laporta and you mentioned Bowers. Okay, Bowers' rookie season, it's been great. Maybe it continues next year. Laporta, everybody said no, it's going to be, and it's been good-ish, but not great. Dalton Kincaid hasn't been great. Trey McBride finally coming on. Doesn't have a touchdown though this year, which I mean is pretty amazing for how good he's been without one. But so, like, just wait.
I got a good one.
The problem is
I got a good one for you. I got a real good one for you. Who is the tight end number 5 right now?
Is it one person or is it a group of about 20 people all within about 5 points of each other?
It's a group of like 20 people within all 5 points. But who is listed as the tight end? I guess this would also depend on format, but I think this is just a tight end premium format. Who is listed as the tight end 5, you think?
Travis Kelce.
Yes. And his year has been friggin' dreadful. If that tells you anything you need to know about the tight end position and why we hate it here at Dynasty Academy, Travis Kelce is your tight end fucking 5.
But we talked about it because last year was a dreadful year and he was the tight end 3 or 4 he ended up at.
He was the tight end 3, yeah, last year.
And everybody was like, wow, what a down year for Travis Kelce. You ended as a tight end 3. Like, how? Mark Andrews was terrible for the first half of the season. And I'm sure he's in the top 5 of tight ends probably now.
I don't know where he is, but I know that Jonnu Smith is like tight end 2. So,
I mean, granted, he's been like for whatever reason in the middle of that season they decided, yeah, Tyreek Hill, nah, Jalen Waddle, nah, Jonnu Smith, we're gonna throw them all to you.
Andrews is number 6.
6, okay, so he's just outside the top 5, yeah. And he was non-existent for the first half of the year.
I will tell you though, we made fun of Arthur Smith for giving the ball to Jonnu Smith. Look at him now.
And what is funny is Freiermuth isn't even really being
No,
used like that. So
I mean, he's been all right, but oh, what a pick! But yeah, he's probably one of the tight end fives.
Yeah, tight end. Actually, we'll go all the way to 14, just because that's where Kyle Pitts sits.
he sits at 14. He's still in the
14.
top 15.
Okay, the point differential from 14 to behind Kelsey and Andrews. Okay,
So 7.
14 to 7 is a whopping 29 points total.
Wow. And Pitts is in the top 15. Yeah.
So that's 2 points per game.
For all you owners out there that are listening and that are owners that play in our leagues that think tight ends mean something, they don't. So
You mean like
14 and
Madden
13
flexing that he's starting 3 of them?
yeah.
14 and 13 are Pitts and Laporta. So
Oh yeah, there's your Laporta. Now let me ask you from I know Bowers is way ahead, so I'm not worried about it. From 2 to 6. So from probably McBride, I would assume, or Jonnu
McBride,
to Andrews. What's the point differential there?
50.
So there is a bigger point differential from the number 2 tight end to the number 6 tight end than there is from 7 to 14.
Yep.
Who's 15? Who is behind Kyle Pitts?
Wait, hold on. Behind Kyle Pitts, I'm going to say Dalton Schultz.
No.
Oh.
For Chicago, Cole Kmet.
Wow.
Now, behind him is the Chiefs' second tight end.
Noah Gray.
Honestly, Justin Watson should be considered as a tight end because he's not a wide receiver, so you should throw. He could be thrown as a tight end too.
Then we got Gesicki and Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill,
who had 3 games.
He was on a tear.
One of them being like 50 points.
Right.
How many total points does Taysom Hill have on the season?
103, which means
yeah, a third of those came in one game.
So that means there are less point differential from Taysom Hill to Mark Andrews than there is from 2 to 7.
Oh my God.
And that number 2 guy doesn't even have a touchdown on the season.
Yeah. McBride doesn't have a touchdown on the year.
Doesn't have a touchdown.
So,
they really tried last week to get him one.
All right.
They tried to shuffle past him and it didn't get in.
Enough bashing on the tight end position. We feel like we do it all the time. So,
but we're not even bashing. We're giving you the numbers, the proof, the facts, and yet everybody. But it's tight end premium. They get a whole extra point. Yeah, because if you didn't, they would be even worse. Think about if you took what does McBride have there? 70 catches, 60. If you took so even if you did a half an extra point, if you took 30 points from him, how bad his score would be as the number 2 tight end.
So what was his score? What would his score be if it was non-tight end premium, basically? Look at it from a PPR standpoint.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. He's got 195.
And that's in PPR?
Standard PPR.
Just standard PPR. So in tight end premium, he would probably have, 235? 225?
How many catches does he have?
So your number 2 tight end is the equivalent of Cortland Sutton. Which, top 12 wide receiver.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the number 2 tight end and who it's Trey McBride. Right.
And here's the other issue with this. So your number 2 tight end is Trey McBride. He's the equivalent of Cortland Sutton. In a startup draft, who's getting drafted first for value?
Well, I mean,
or who's getting drafted first?
It's not close. It's not even
McBride,
close.
Right? McBride
in round 3.
By how many rounds? Like at least 4 or 5.
5. 5, yes,
so,
at least.
So you're getting the equivalent of Trey McBride in round 8 with Cortland Sutton.
Oh, he's got 89 receptions.
So
Holy
90.
shit. 90, yeah. So you're taking
So
90 points
you add 45 to
if it's
that
a half
90. If it's
extra
a
point. Yeah.
half point.
Some are full extra points.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, but how many other tight ends are going to catch that many balls other than not named Travis Kelce or you know what I mean? Like it very rarely happens. Like we talk about the tight end. Somebody from behind, like the tight end 20 marker, always rises to the top every year.
Every year.
Mark Andrews did it one year, hovered there for a little bit, and now where is he? He's like 6, right? You said, and then Jonnu Smith this year. I don't even think he was tight end 30 last year. Like
Zach Ertz is the number 9.
Yeah, Ertz, and he's come with a lot of clutch catches for Washington. It's just he doesn't have a ton of them. Like
So after you move from Jonnu's 70 receptions, you move to the next guy, which is Hunter Henry at 62, and then Kittle at 60. Like the fact that Hunter Henry has 62 targets, but that team is terrible. There's no other wide receivers there.
Yeah.
Same with San Francisco. Ayuk's hurt. Who are they throwing the ball to? Debo decided to not know how to play football anymore.
Well, I mean, either way, Dynasty Academy giving you the cold, harsh facts about tight ends.
We don't like
Plain and simple. Like, there you go.
I like them when there's value.
Yeah, like when there's value, sure, but all these people talking about the tight end positional advantage and and it's not really a positional advantage. It is, but it's not. You're giving off a flex value for a tight end spot, essentially.
When you got Mark Andrews in the 15th round originally
Years ago.
And before he hit.
Right.
Right. That's when it's a positional value. When you're taking Brock Bowers,
who's going to probably go in the second round this year, if not late first.
Yes. But I mean, last year's, if you're at 105, this is the season you have to have every year moving forward.
Yeah.
Or it's not worth it.
But
yes, you're going to take a
receiver.
What?
He'd be a top 10 wide receiver.
This year, yes, right.
Sure.
But he has to then do that every year for at least 5 or 6 years.
And my thing is the same situation Bowers is in that I come up with for the tight end position in general. What happens when they get a receiver? What happens when they get a quarterback? What happens if they get a run game? Like, what's going to happen to those targets? The same thing with Arizona. Like Trey McBride moving next year, if they bring in another weapon, okay, we might see McBride kind of dip off next year. I think McBride's a great talent, but we might see him dip off.
Or if Marvin Harrison comes, because the disparity in receptions between the two of them is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's again if Marvin Harrison comes on and showcases what everybody thinks he's going to be. So
hold on, before you do anything, Cameron Dicker just kicked a field goal, but it was like he was kicking off.
What?
They were lined up like he was going to be kicking off, and he kicked a field goal. Isn't there some weird rule at the end of a half where you can do something weird like that, where you can?
I have no idea.
It was from the 50-yard line.
I have no clue.
Did they make it?
He made it, yeah.
And he got 3 points for it?
Yeah.
But I swear there's some weird rule where you can say you're going to do this and you're allowed to, and I feel like it's happened once in the last 10 years.
Oh, weird. I don't know.
But the guy still had to hold it, but nobody was rushing him.
Strange.
Dicker the kicker. Don't be a dick. Vote for Dicker the kicker. I'll give the Chargers one thing. Their social media team is one of the best.
Is it a free kick field goal?
It's a free kick field goal.
That's what it is. I knew there was something.
Yep. I'm looking it up right now. It's a free kick field goal. That's what it's called.
I think you can only
do it when kickoff or a free kick with a fair catch. They have the option to attempt a field goal from the spot of the catch without a snap.
So it must have been a punt though, then, because I don't think you wouldn't have fair caught a kickoff with a 50.
Awesome. So, well, there you go. JJ Watt just tweeted a fair catch free kick shouldn't be that exciting, but it is. That was awesome.
Before we go, let's talk about this Michael Penix. Does this change anything for the weapons there?
I don't think it changes for me personally. I don't think it changes anything for the weapons, especially not like Kyle Pitts, because I think Kyle Pitts is just a bust. But I am very, very, very curious about what this will do for Drake London, though. Because if one of the things that Kirk Cousins has always been really good with has been his accuracy and his ability to be able to put the ball in an area where somebody can go get a jump ball. He did it a lot with Terry McLaurin in Washington, and he's pretty much done it with Minnesota with Justin Jefferson for years. As long as he gets it to a spot, he can do it. Penix is considered one of the more accurate quarterbacks. However, he is still a rookie. So I don't know what this necessarily means. And he's left-handed. I know that seems strange to say, but the spin on the ball is different, and it's coming from a different trajectory, especially for a guy like Drake London. So where he's only played with right-handed quarterbacks through college, and I'm probably assuming high school and stuff, because it's very rare to have a left-handed quarterback. I'm proceeding with caution with him because Drake London was having a fairly good year. It just, I don't know. I don't know if this is actually going to help Atlanta's offense this year or not. Moving forward, maybe. I don't know. I still don't think Drake London's really the guy. So I think he was actually benefiting from Kirk Cousins' play when Cousins was playing good. So
Does it worry you for Bijan at all? Not that you wouldn't start him, but does it worry you at all with teams possibly loading the box saying, beat us? Show us you can beat us as a rookie. Or
Yeah.
do you...
No, it does. I mean, you have to. Until Penix can come out there and start throwing the ball around on people, you have to.
So, I mean, not the greatest thing to happen in your semifinals of playoffs then if you're owning of Bijan and hoping, but maybe, because I mean, I don't remember Penix being much of a check down guy in college. Not that means anything a ton, but I don't remember him doing it a lot. So that worries me.
Didn't need to when you have three great wide receivers. So
well, right, but that worries me because if you remember, Najee Harris, one of the biggest things was an older quarterback who used the dump off to his, with Ben Roethlisberger. Then Pickett comes in. That's not what he's going to do. He's pushing the ball down the field. So that worries me. Eli, does Darnell Mooney? Does Darnell Mooney? Some people have been utilizing him as a wide receiver 2-3 on their teams, flex kind of guy who's played very well at times. Do you leave him out of your starting lineup, even though you may have been starting him because you don't know what you get with Penix?
I think it's risky because maybe you want to ease him in. There's nothing to play for. So you ease him in, Bijan's going to see the ball. I mean, maybe a couple deep shots, which maybe that's good for Mooney.
I mean, they do have things to play for, though. They're only a game out of the division.
I get that. I don't understand bringing Penix in if that's your thought process.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Yes.
So it seems like a situation where he could come in and it doesn't go well and they yank him out. And that's probably the worst thing that could happen overall for everyone in that situation. But
I have to believe Raheem Morris has spoken to the locker room and because you don't want to divide your locker room at this point in the season with the chance for
I don't think you make this switch at this point in time in the season just to go back to Cousins if Penix doesn't play well. This feels like we are sticking with Penix for the rest of the year, regardless, through the fire, needless to say. depending whatever the results are that come out that way. Raheem Morris was very, very candid about needing better quarterback play from his quarterback, but you had that with Cousins at the beginning of the year.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, how many weeks ago we were like,
right.
Oh my God, Cousins threw for 400 million yards, touchdowns. Oh my God.
So switching to an unproven rookie this late in the season, when you're having your rookie, when you're having a playoff push or a chance at the playoffs, division win, even at that, this really seems like it's coming from the top. This feels like very much like an Art Blank type of play. I'm sure that Raheem Morris was part of that decision, but it feels like this is coming down from ownership at this point, which is weird because supposedly Art Blank was on board with doing the Green Bay approach with Penix. But there was also reports that Art Blank was not sure about it as well. And that was what the GM discussion was. What's the GM's name? Dimitri? No, something like that. Anyways. So this really feels like this is coming down from the top. Oh, and I just want to mention, did you guys see the Jerry Jeudy report with the Jets?
Yeah, you sent it to us.
Well, I didn't know if you guys read it, though, because nobody responded, so.
Oh, yeah. Did you also see that, I guess, he also brings his teenage grandsons into meetings, and somebody commented they pretty much have to get approval from his teenage grandsons about things? Like the coaches.
Woody Johnson?
Yeah. He has them sit in on team meetings, and a coach actually made a comment that I had to go talk to a teenage kid about moves I wanted to make with our team. That's where the Manning rating probably comes from. Who do you think probably told Woody Johnson where the Manning rating was?
Yeah, that. And poor Judy's over there, not even sure what's happening. He was like, "Oh, that sounds made up," but I'm beginning to wonder now because that actually came from a source that was inside of like one of the coaching staff, so I would not be surprised at all. So that Jets franchise is a disaster. All right. Well, anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. You guys have anything you want to say real quick before the holiday season? We won't be here next week. Anybody want to give a shout out? Anything? Say anything? No.
No. Good luck in your playoffs.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck in your playoffs. May the fantasy gods be in your favor. Here on the Dynasty Academy, Shady Sports Network. Thank you, Sam, once again for giving us a platform for this as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share this. Come back. Get more active. I see all the viewers out there. Come on, guys. Get active. Start chiming in. Give some comments. Hit us up on, Dynasty Academy online and stuff. And hit us up. You can hit me up anytime you want. And if you know where my socials are as well, by all means. So for Mark Ongst, for Eli Manuel, for Sam Shady and the Shady Sports Network, happy holidays from here at the Dynasty Academy. And we will see you, I think, actually, guys, let's talk about this real quick. We should be wrapping up, in like 2 weeks? Next 2 weeks should be our last show for the season, right? Because the finals. The finals are next week, so.
Oh, you mean the
our next show?
Yeah.
Our next show should be wrapping up for until the draft season hits, right? Until the NFL draft hits in March, we should be wrapping up. It should be our last show until March next week.
It's my ESPN league that goes.
Week 18.
Well, either way, I believe it should be for the season standpoint. This should be our last show till March after next week, or not next week, the week after.
It won't be for a couple of weeks because next week is.
I meant 2 weeks. And 2 weeks.
Well, it would probably be. So yeah, New Year's will be
after.
It'll be in January. It'll be in the new year.
Yeah, well, New Year's Day is on the 1st. You guys don't want to do a show on the 2nd? Are you guys still going to be like hungover from the 31st?
I said it'll be in the new year. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Our next show will be next year.
I might be so full of alcohol and jelly beans at that point. We'll find out.
Jelly beans are disgusting.
Yeah, it's got.
All right.
What?
Jelly beans are gross.
Yeah. Some are.
No, good. They all are. I don't do jelly beans and I don't do gummies.
You're more of a candy corn guy, I bet.
Candy corn's fucking disgusting. No, candy corn's gross as shit. The only thing grosser, I think, than jelly beans is probably circus peanuts.
Also gross.
What?
They're gross.
Oh,
Circus peanuts are nasty.
yeah, those are nasty. Jelly beans are elite.
I don't know about elite,
You need
Elitely
to
disgusting.
learn how to pick out your jelly beans.
but they're way better than circus peanuts.
Oh yeah. I'll say jelly beans are way better than circus peanuts for sure. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything worse on this planet than circus peanuts. Right now, my wife is in the other room cursing me out for saying that because she loves circus peanuts. So
Oh god, dude, it's like cardboard. Peanuts and cardboard.
the packing peanuts.
Styrofoam.
Yeah, styrofoam packing peanuts. All right. Anyways, so we will see you in the new year then. After the new year for the next show, which will be the last show of the season. We will be back in March for the start of a new season of Dynasty Academy here on the Shady Sports Network. Until then, have a good holiday. Have a safe new year. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, which really doesn't leave a ton on the table. But either way, have a good night and be safe. Until then, enjoy your holidays.